Hello, and before we start today's video, I thought I'd show you a bit of a present my wife gave me. Normally I get given a Porsche, perhaps a card, maybe something that's worth a fair bit of money, but she gave me this morning. Well, she wrapped it well. Oh, an onion. What am I supposed to do with this? Oh, pretty ugly. Got lots of layers. Be nice to give me a knife to unwrap it with. Bit different, I suppose. Suppose it could be a metaphor for the different layers in our relationship, maybe? Wonder if it tastes alright. Oh, that's horrible. But, I suppose it's the thought that counts. Anyway, today's poem is Valentine by Carol Ann Duffy. As normal, that onion really does taste bad. As normal, we'll be discussing AO1, the meaning of the poem, AO3, which is the context, and AO2, which is where we look at language and the effects being created. Carol Ann Duffy then wrote the poem as a rejection of what she saw as stereotypical tropes of Valentine's Day. Carol Ann Duffy was, up until recently, the poet laureate and the first woman to hold this role. Her poetry has been the subject of controversy. She follows in the public tradition of, for example, Robert Browning, in writing monologues from the point of view of a disturbed character. Duffy often tackles difficult subjects, encouraging the reader to explore an alternative point of view. Valentine comes from a collection called The World's Wife, where she took characters from history, literature and mythology and gave them a female point of view, as a sister, a wife or a feminised version of a character. Here then is a reading of the poem itself.
Not a red rose or a satin heart, I give you an onion. It is a moon wrapped in brown paper. It promises light like the careful undressing of love. Here, it will blind you with tears like a lover. It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. I am trying to be truthful, not a cute card or a kissogram. I give you an onion. Its fierce kiss will stay on your lips, possessive and faithful as we are, for as long as we are. Take it. Its platinum loops shrink to a wedding ring if you like. Lethal. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife.
So that's why she gave me an onion. It signifies the normalness of our relationship as being seemingly nothing special, but something that lasts and stays on your tongue, so to speak, for a long time after eating it. Something potentially then you'll find it hard to forget and perhaps treasure always. The onion isn't the only signifier in this particular poem. It isn't the only symbol. Here then is a video of some of the others that appear in the poem. Maybe my wife put more thought into that present than I thought. Here is then a copy of the poem with some annotations around the outside. The structural notes are in red and the language notes are in white. First off then, Valentine by Carol Ann Duffy. The title promotes a series of images that link to traditional Valentine's Day traditions, symbols that are subverted throughout the poem. We might think it's going to be a love poem based on the title, but what we get is something a lot more complicated, much like the feeling of love itself. It is written in free verse. It doesn't attempt to really comply or use any of the rules we expect of poems, implying that love cannot be controlled or forced into certain rules or regulations. It immediately, the first line, not a red rose or satin heart, immediately contradicts the title. It suggests that this is in the middle of a conversation or relationship, as if we're joining the poem halfway through a discussion that's already started. The second sentence, or beginning of the second stanza, I give you an onion, is very, very unromantic. It's got a cold tone that's reinforced by the short sentence or statement, I give you an onion. This is a one-sided dialogue. We're only ever hearing the speaker's point of view, not the receiver of the onion. The promised light here, in line number 3, stanza 2, suggests commitment and happiness, or perhaps even revelation. Duffy is teaching us what real love is. She's giving us light on the topic of love. The careful undressing of love suggests a tenderness or intimacy between the speaker and the listener, as if she's slowly undressing the onion, revealing perhaps all the complications of the relationship inside. The moon is a romantic image, something precious, white, and more than just physical. Yet here we know it's covered by something dull, the skin of the onion, as if love is sometimes hidden inside an ordinary package. Perhaps the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, might be used here. The middle of the poem? Well, the second person address is used here, which reinforces the idea that the poet is talking directly to us. This is used throughout the poem. It will blind you with tears, and then it starts the next line like a lover. This is called enjambment, where a sentence is cut in half at a particular place, in this case after the word tears. The enjambment after tears reminds us that love can hurt. It isn't all about sentimentality and stereotypes. The fourth sentence there, it will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. Implies that the pain of love is inevitable. It will make your reflection a wobbling photo of grief. You have got no choice. Love will cause you pain at some point. The image here is almost comical, as if love will change your perspective of who you are as a person in a wobbling photo. I think trick mirrors here, the idea of it wobbling photo. You look in a mirror and you see a distorted version of yourself rather than the real one. Perhaps then Duffy looking through her tears at the person speaking. It repeatedly uses personal pronouns I and we, which suggests the teamwork involved in successful love or a successful relationship. The repetition of I and we is used throughout the poem. She repeats the phrase, I give you an onion, halfway through the poem there, which reinforces the importance of an onion as a metaphor. The speaker makes it clear this is a long-term commitment. As long as we are, is a sentence that does this. It is a statement again, implying that love will last through space and time. The end of the poem. Some stanzas are deliberately short and forceful. Take it, creating a sense of urgency and forcefulness, contrasting with the caring nature of what we expect from a love poem. Think of poems you might see in Valentine's cards. They're rarely quite as forceful as this one. The onion now symbolises a wedding ring, yet the verb shrink implies that marriage can be restrictive. The idea of the onion shrinking to a wedding ring, like a golden handcuff that's keeping you two, the people in the relationship, together. The enjambment, after the word ring, suggests a forceful speaker here, yet one that is willing to accept alternatives. The next line, if you like, implies the listener can choose the meaning of what they've been given. It's like the speaker is finally given an option. Should they marry or should they not? The last word of the poem could be seen as a warning to the pain of life and the sacrifices it takes to make a relationship successful. The word knife obviously is very symbolic. The idea of pain, the idea of slicing through something quite physical, something almost quite violent here. Yet it also links to the idea of it being maybe a wedding cake, something that symbolises the relationship itself on wedding day. The idea of your knife perhaps being then the love itself, separating parts of the onion. Valentine then, the basics. Who? An unknown speaker gives her partner an onion. What's it about? The speaker wants to give something special that isn't mass-produced to show she really cares on Valentine's Day. Why was it written? It was written as a reaction to Valentine's Day with its cheesy satin hearts, etc. The poem explores real love, its joys and sadness, rather than the stereotypes found on cards at this time of year. In my case, when I read the poem at first, a particular film called The Wedding Singer came to mind. Now, this is an Adam Sandler film, and this is the scene from a wedding where we expect the wedding singer to be given tones of love and affection and support to the newly married couple. What we actually get is something quite different. Maybe this will help you remember the poem.
You know, it's funny. Some of us will never ever find true love. Like, take, for instance, me. And I'm pretty sure that guy right there. And that lady with the sideburns. And basically everybody at table 9. But the worst thing is that me, Fatty, sideburns lady, and the mutants over at table 9 will never ever find a way to better the situation. Because apparently we have absolutely nothing to offer the opposite sex.
You are the worst wedding singer in the world, buddy.
Sir, one more outburst, I will strangle you with my microphone wire. You understand me? Now let's cut this stupid cake, because I know the fat guy's going to have a heart attack if we don't eat again soon. And while we do that, here's a little mood music for you. Cindy and Scott are newlyweds. What they do? He loves her, but she loves this guy right here. And he loves somebody else. You just can't win. And so it goes until the day you die. This thing they call love is gonna make you cry. I hate you. I've had the blues, the rich and the prince. One thing's for sure.
Love stinks?
Love stinks! Yeah, yeah!
Love stinks!
Love stinks!
Adam Sandler at his best there. Now we're going to go through 3 quotes and 3 key quotes in the poem and what we might want to say about them. The first one then, I give you an onion. Pause the video then to make notes on key quote number 1. Quote number 2, its fierce kiss will stay on your lips, possessive and faithful. And key quote number 3. Its scent will cling to your fingers, cling to your knife from the end of the poem. Okay, as normal, we're now going to look at how to write an essay based on this poem. And as normal, we'll be following the 9 steps of success. Each one of these 9 steps would be 1 sentence of 1 paragraph. And as you can see, some of the key ideas behind it to pass the test are in red. Today we're going to look at, in particular, the amount of detail you need to go into to get the higher levels, so let's say grade 7 or better. I'm going to use the quote, "I give you an onion," and this time, rather than just doing notes around the outside, you'll see full sentences. So I start off by saying it is deliberately written to sound harsh and forceful, immediately contrasting with the emotion being shown, love. I then would comment on or zoom in on the word onion, making sure I use the technical language metaphor and explain that this links to real love. It may look ugly, yet has layers of meaning that can slowly peel away. I might also concentrate on the full stop here, the fact this is a statement that forces us to pause after reading it. This suggests a sense of mystery, as if we don't have a choice but to accept this really strange gift. This adds to the curiosity of the reader to wonder exactly what it means. We're left to pause and puzzle over the fact that this person's given an onion rather than perhaps a satin heart or a kissogram. These are the steps I'm going to follow then, just the key ones that show analysis. First off, we have our 5-word quote that I can analyse. I can look at the word onion, I can look at the full use of the full stop. I need to clearly explain why the quote is important in the poem itself, and then I need to conduct my analysis. As you can see here, I've used the same ideas, but this time I have actually written it down in sentences. Each one of these forms those 3 steps then. I start with, Duffy starts her poem with a statement, "I give you an onion." I then explain how this line's important. This is important as it sets up the rest of the poem and its most important metaphor. The onion represents the hidden beauty of love, its essential nature to relationships, like an onion flavouring a recipe, and how appearances can be deceiving. I then go on to analyse a particular part. In this case, I've actually looked at "I give." The phrase "I give" suggests the recipient has no choice but to accept the strange gift. The verb "give" implies it's a present, but the strangeness of the gift creates a sense of pathos and mystery. And if I was writing that then as an answer, colour-coded as you can see, this is what it looked like. This is clearly showing then analysis of key quotes from the poem. You'll notice the length. They are quite explaining some detail. And you'll notice I've clearly zoomed in on particular words to clearly show the exam board that I aim to show clear analysis of a quote or of my evidence. Thank you very much then for listening to this presentation on Duffy's poem, Valentine. I'm going to eat the rest of my onion now.